Looking to upgrade your home audio with InCeiling, InWall or outdoor speakers? Then this one's for you. Hi guys, Jonathan here from Smart Home Sounds, a UK-based home audio retailer. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, welcome. In this video, I'll be covering the Sonos Architectural range, which includes their in-ceiling, their in-wall and outdoor speaker options. We'll be going over when it's suitable to use these speakers, the differences between them, and giving you some general tips and tricks. So this will be very useful to you if you're planning a home extension or a renovation or even a self-build or purchasing a new build property. So if this sounds like you, keep watching. So a quick bit of information about us. We offer an extended 6-year Sonos warranty, a 30-day hassle-free returns policy and a free design service for your project. And I'll come back to that a bit later on. I'll also mention that we've recently filmed a video all about what services we can offer if you're planning an extension, and I actually annotate a real client's floor plan and explain my thoughts out loud, which might be helpful for you. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check that out. Now the main focus of this video will be to cover Sonos's own brand of ceiling, in-wall and outdoor speakers, as this has been a heavily requested video. However, there are plenty of other options available on our website from brands such as Monitor Audio, Bowers & Wilkins, Kef and more at cheaper and more expensive price points than the Sonos range if you're looking for a more affordable or a more bespoke setup. They can all be used with the Sonos amp if you are still looking to use the Sonos ecosystem with them, or if you don't think Sonos is going to be right for you, then you can opt for a completely different amp and speaker combo altogether. We have a 3-part ceiling speaker series on our channel which covers your options there, and we're always here for a chat if you want to discuss which setups might work for you best. So to give you a bit of context, in February 2019, Sonos collaborated with a well-renowned Canadian audio company named Sonance to release a range of built-in speakers named the Architectural range, which all share one thing in common. These are all passive speakers that are hardwired into the wall or ceiling, so they sit flush apart from the outdoor speakers. And then instead of being powered by a main socket, they're powered by a separate amplifier via speaker cable that runs behind the ceiling. Now the speakers are controlled wirelessly through the Sonos app, and naming the rooms, etc. is completely the same as any other Sonos speaker. The idea of these speakers is that as they're built in, they're discreet, so they don't attract as much attention as traditional wireless speakers. So this makes them perfect if you're planning some sort of project at home where you'll have access to the ceiling, perhaps if you're in the first fixed stage of your project, or having a full renovation where the ceilings will be open. So as I mentioned, Sonos do their own amp named the Sonos amp for £599, which is optimized for use with the Sonos Architectural range, and we've done a separate YouTube review for the amp which I'll put a link to below. But you can of course use your own amplifier to power these if you wish. Now the range consists of a pair of in-ceiling speakers and in-wall speakers, both at £599, and also some outdoor speakers designed to be fixed onto the wall with a bracket for a permanent outdoor solution for £799 a pair. So let's start off by talking about the Sonos In-Ceiling speakers. Now home extensions are extremely popular these days as they can add value to your home and generally optimize the space that you're in. We've also found that more and more people are opting for ceiling speakers built into the ceiling. As I mentioned earlier, one of the main aesthetics of these is a discrete aesthetic. You don't really notice them unless you specifically look up at the ceiling. You've also got a completely blank canvas on the ceiling, so you have more choice of where to position them in your room, such as above a kitchen island or a seating area, for example. It's a win-win because you can enjoy great quality sound and wireless control without the traditional aesthetic of a speaker. These Sonos In-Ceiling speakers are supplied as a pair, which is designed to be used as a left and a right stereo pair. So that means that one of these speakers will provide the left channel of the music and the other speaker will be assigned the right channel. As you can see on the back of the Sonos amp or any other amplifier on the market, you would wire your left speaker to the left binding posts and the right speaker to the right binding posts. These speakers come with a white magnetic grille which can be spray painted, providing that you use a specific type of spray paint that does not block the holes in the grille. While spraying them is possible, we do have some installed in our demo facility, and while it's a small feature, we do love the aesthetic look of the grille on these ceiling speakers. They've got a unique pattern which I haven't seen on any other ceiling speaker, which adds to the premium look. They're also a perfect shade of white, with some cheaper ceiling speakers looking almost yellowish or creamy when installed into a white ceiling. There are a couple of other unique features on these ceiling speakers, and one of them is this pivotable driver, which can be angled to the room's most habitable areas. Or it can be used on a vaulted ceiling to offset the angle of the ceiling, so the driver ends up pointing directly downwards. This is quite a difficult feature to find in a ceiling speaker, and most ceiling speakers only have pivotable tweeters, so it's useful to have the whole driver pivotable. Now, on to probably the best advantage of Sonos ceiling speakers when used with a Sonos amp is TruePlay tuning. And if you're not aware, it's where you can acoustically optimize the ceiling speakers for the layout and the architecture of your room using the Sonos app and test tones. Now, this is particularly beneficial if you have quite a large open plan room, although you do need an iOS device to use it. This is an exclusive Sonos technology, and you wouldn't be able to do this using other brands of ceiling speakers with a Sonos amp, so just bear that in mind. The last benefit is that you can install up to 3 pairs of the Sonos In-Ceiling speakers on the same Sonos amp if you would be happy for the music to play on all of those speakers at the same time, at the same volume. And again, this is useful if you have like a large open plan area that would require 6 speakers to fill the space adequately. You can only install a maximum of 4 speakers using a different brand of ceiling speaker on the Sonos amp, so it means you wouldn't have to buy a separate amp with 4 on one and 2 on another, which does add to the cost of the project. One thing to be aware before purchasing is they are quite deep in comparison with other ceiling speakers and require a mounting depth of 121mm. So while not overly deep, you will want to make sure you have this amount of space in your ceiling void before installing them. If you don't, there are plenty of other options, and you can even get slim or even super slim options going all the way down to 32mm in depth, which we do supply if you need them. At the time of filming this video, there's only one model of ceiling speakers that Sonos do, and that is these Sonos In-Ceiling speakers, which use a standard size 6.5-inch driver and an 8-inch diameter cutout hole. We'd love to see Sonos design an 8-inch driver model, as they can push more air and deliver more bass. Currently, you do have the option to add a sub wirelessly to these ceiling speakers, but an 8-inch model is something that we would love to see brought out in the future. Also, the Sonos In-Ceiling speakers are sold as a stereo pair. There's no single stereo version, which would have been useful if you were looking for perhaps Sonos sound quality in smaller rooms where it's not practical to install a pair of speakers. While you can get around this by enabling dual mono mode in the amp, it would be much more cost effective, and you get better sound quality by opting for a single stereo ceiling speaker. Next up, we have the Sonos InWall Speakers, which are installed in quite a similar way to the InCeiling speakers. The only difference is that they take on a rectangular shape and they're installed at listening height in the wall. They're also supplied as a pair, so again, they'd be used as a left and a right speaker. You can use these just for music if you'd like, but we find the most common use is installing one either side of your TV for a 2.0 setup. This is a good option if you're not such a fan of the aesthetics of a soundbar, or you can't find space for one. If you use them with the Sonos amp, it will also give a phantom center channel, so it will take parts of the left and the right speaker and balance the audio in the center, which in our testing worked really well. If you wanted to take advantage of a surround sound effect, you could add a second Sonos amp to pair a second pair of InWall or In-Ceiling speakers behind you to give you 4.0 Dolby Digital audio, which can be finished off with a Sonos sub to give you a 4.1 setup. A lot of people tend to start their search for a built-in home cinema at ceiling speakers, and I always say that you'll get a much better experience by installing the front speakers at listening height, which can't be done using ceiling speakers, as all the sound will come from above your head, which doesn't give you the most accurate representation of the audio. So either go for a soundbar at the front, or prioritize in-wall speakers over in-ceiling speakers at the front if you are a fan of this aesthetic. Ceiling speakers make great surround speakers, however, so you could even use a combination of in-wall speakers at the front and in-ceiling at the back. Or you could of course use a pair of in-wall speakers as your rears too. Like the Sonos In-Ceiling speakers, these in-wall speakers also benefit from TruePlay tuning, so you can ensure you're getting the best possible audio performance for your room. Now these are nice and slim and only need about 89mm behind your wall cavity, so there should be no problems there. And finally, we have these Sonos outdoor speakers. So if you've got a patio area or an outhouse, these would be very useful. They are designed to be mounted onto an exterior wall as a stereo pair, and they come with all the fixing brackets required to mount on brickwork or masonry. Again, they need to be powered by the Sonos amp via speaker cable in the same way as the InCeiling or InWall speakers, and they come with an IP66 weatherproof rating, so they can be kept outside all year round with no worries, even through extreme weathers, and they shouldn't discolour or rust from being outside. It must be said these sound incredibly powerful for their size, and they can fill a large patio area with ease. They can also be used internally, perhaps on the wall in an indoor swimming pool, sauna or steam room, for example. The only downsides to these is that they only come in white, so if you're looking for a black version, I would recommend checking out the Bowers & Wilkins AM1s, which look very similar to these and they sound almost as good. The other downside is that you can't true play these because, of course, there's no way of Sonos optimizing for the great outdoors, unfortunately. Now, if you don't want to spend another £799 on the outdoor speakers and £599 on another amp, then there are other options such as the Sonos Move portable speaker, which will integrate with an existing Sonos system on Wi-Fi, and it can be taken off its charging dock and moved outside to the garden as it's completely weatherproof. Or it can be moved from room to room, and it's available in a colour choice of black or white for £399. And we've made quite a few videos on the Move on our YouTube channel. Or you could opt for any other portable speakers that you like, such as the Marshall Emberton, one of the Ultimate Ears speakers, the B&O A1. There's a huge choice of portable speakers to suit your needs. So you've almost reached the end of the video, but let's cover some frequently asked questions of the architectural range from our customers. So first of all, how exactly are they installed? Well, you'll need to do some pre-planning to see if you have enough ceiling space in your ceiling void, or for the InWall speakers, enough space in your wall cavity. This can be a DIY job, but most customers use their electrician to run the speaker cable to the desired position of the ceiling or wall speaker, and then back to where you're housing the amplifier. One cable will be required for each speaker. You'll then use the cutout template for the InCeiling or InWall speakers to cut the perfect sized hole in your wall or ceiling for the speaker to sit. And the speakers use a screw and clamp system to sit in the ceiling or wall, followed by a grill that magnetically attaches to the speaker once it's installed. At the other end, you'll use the banana plugs if you're connecting to the Sonos amp for a nice easy connection, then complete the setup using the Sonos app. Next question, can they be integrated with an existing Sonos system? So yes, as long as you power them using the Sonos amp. For every Sonos amp you have, this will be set up in the Sonos app as a separate room, and then you can then group this with other rooms where you have Sonos or keep them separate. The amp connects to your Wi-Fi wirelessly, so it works in a very similar way to wireless Sonos speakers. Are these really worth their money, or are you just paying for the brand? So quite often we get asked what the difference is between the Sonos In-Ceiling speakers and the Sonance C6R speakers on our website, because the Sonos In-Ceiling speakers have been worked on by Sonance. Now, it's important to understand that the Sonos In-Ceiling speakers are a completely different spec to the Sonance C6Rs and are a premium option that can be listened to at all volumes, whereas the C6R is Sonance's entry-level ceiling speaker, which is really only designed for ambient background or the occasional mid-level listening. Granted, the Sonos Architectural range is pricier than a lot of other ceiling speakers on the market, but these do really offer a nice impressive sound and look. And if you're looking to still get great sound quality from your ceiling speakers, they are our go-to option, especially for the TruePlay tuning feature. But if you think these might be overkill for your space, we can help you find a better solution for your needs and budget. I will just point out that sometimes you might find the Sonos Architectural range is discounted due to a price match, so I'll pop a link in the description so you can check out the most up-to-date pricing. And if you notice them on offer, they would offer, of course, even better performance per pound, and we do offer a like-for-like price match promise as well. So next question is, can you link any of these speakers to your TV? So again, as long as you use the Sonos amp to power them, you can take advantage of the HDMI ARC input on the Sonos amp and connect this directly to your TV's HDMI ARC output. I would only ever recommend using ceiling speakers with your TV either as surround speakers to a soundbar or just for ambient listening of the TV rather than watching movies, because of course all of the sound would then come above your TV rather than at listening height from a soundbar or in-wall speakers. You'll get a much better experience and quite often pay less if you opt for a soundbar and then keep the ceiling speakers for rears. Can you mix and match in-wall, in-ceiling or outdoor speakers on the same Sonos amp? So yes, absolutely. If you're using the Sonos amp, you can use any combination of speakers from the Architectural range up to a maximum of 3 pairs, as long as you're happy that the same music will play at the same time. A little tip is that if you have a pair of in-ceiling or in-wall speakers indoors, and then you have a pair of outdoor speakers installed also on the same amp, and you don't always want the audio to play both indoors and outdoors, you can install a speaker switch. And that can be used to manually turn off one of the pairs temporarily, which are available on our website starting from £69 and is a great workaround, saves you having another Sonos amp. So I hope that wasn't too bamboozling. The last thing I want to mention before you go is if you think built-in speakers are what you would like in your home and you're based in the UK, then do get in touch as we offer a free design service and our customer service team are more than happy to have a chat with you. We can annotate any floor plans that you have with our recommended speaker positioning, how many would be required for each room, and give a cost indication too, using your chosen ceiling speakers or ones that we think would be suitable for your project. Our email address is info@smarthomesounds.co.uk, so it'd be great to have a chat. If you'd like to see a walkthrough of that design service, I'll pop a link to the YouTube video for that as well below. As I mentioned earlier, we have a 3-part video series on ceiling speakers and everything you need to know from installing them, choosing the right ones, and some helpful hints and tips, which I'll pop a link to in the description below. So thanks for watching, guys. If you found this video helpful, it'd be great if you could give me a like. And if you are interested in seeing more from us, please consider subscribing, as we'd love to have you on board our community. See you very soon.